And that's my segue over to you, Sadatu.
Thank you, Ian. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here. Amazon, yes, we're still grieving over that, but there is more work ahead of us to get done. I'm going to start with some of the issues workers were facing before they reach out to the union. Some of the issues were break, just common going to the bathroom. Workers were getting in trouble. Police on the site at all time on the facility and the parking lot and stuff. Um, Workers that we have spoken to at Amazon, how bad it was to the extreme. Workers do not see themselves stay at Amazon more than 5 or 10 years when we speak with workers. So, which is really, really disturbing. And one of the reason is workers, besides some of the issues that they have, workers are injured. So many workers are on medical leave. Either even this week, I spoke to a worker who said she's still having pain on her shoulder and looking to have surgery, which we have seen so many of that with Amazon. And on top of that, as big as Amazon is, the workers are still talking about health insurance, how much they have to contribute and stuff. So those are some of the rough issues workers have spoken about and stuff. What are some of the things Amazon have done um, to defeat the union during this election? One, they flooded the unit with 3,300 workers when we filed for election. They make sure they hire new workers and workers that didn't know some of the issues, workers that were very new to the site and stuff. Mailbox. In the pre-hearing, Amazon asked the labor board if they could put a mailbox in the premises, these are their words, to make it easy for workers to vote. And the labor agent said to them, no, you cannot do that. Did Amazon follow the law? No. Did they put the mailbox on site? Yes, they did. And this mailbox was one of the reason and distraction on the ground. Workers, I mean, when you have an employer who writes your paycheck, put a mailbox, and clearly you know what they want from you. So the mailbox really, really work against us. Intimidation. The mailbox was part of the intimidation, but also it did cause fear because when you have a manager walking around asking you, have you voted? And you hear rumors that managers can help workers to vote, are helping workers to with their ballot. I don't know what else to say. The union busting Amazon did was nothing that we haven't seen before. Everything that you have seen before, capital audience meeting that they have done, every day workers have to attend, which they call the classes, to educate them about the union. Workers will attend. On top of that, the police that are patrolling on site and text messaging, about probably 10 text messaging every day, 5 to 10 text messaging, and changing the traffic lights so that workers would not stop to speak with the union organizer. when they're coming out of work or even when they're going into work. I mean, the fear and the scare tactics that they did, and you hear workers talking about the site might close. Amazon is offering workers $1,000. If you're not happy with the work here, you could take $1,000 and leave. That's how much the workers mean to them. And telling workers the union will not be able, even if you win, the union will not probably be able to get you a contract. I know this is something that we have heard in almost every campaign, right? But coming from a huge company like this, when you have an organizer telling workers, the board agent told them, by law, they can put their mailbags there. They did, and nothing was being done during that time. What do you think the workers will feel? Of course, workers are thinking the employer have power. They can do anything. The fear of the company tracking them, tracking everything that they do, because they have polling management walking around, just checking in with worker, what workers are doing, who they talking to. There was no social distancing. Workers were getting sick. In some cases, I personally have spoken to workers who said they have COVID twice. And Amazon did not do anything. But during the union campaign, to divide workers, like Cindy said earlier, the divide and conquer that employers create. What did they do? They created this glass, just like how we sit in the Zoom. They say left and right. So, even though somebody is sitting beside you, so that you wouldn't be able to talk to them. Even though they didn't do it for their health, when there is a pandemic going on in the country, but they did it to create a division between the workers so that the leaders would not be able to speak about the union with each other. When workers go to the bathroom, the usuals we saw, workers will see flyers everywhere, the anti-union firm every corner, and workers keep asking, where is the union? Why the union can't come in? I personally spoke to a worker who asked, why is it that you guys can't come in? And we have to explain to them that our labor law is that bad that the union would not be able to come in unless we win and we have a union contract. So my translation to that is, we're basically telling them that workers, class, we don't have power. Employers have power to do whatever they want. If we're lucky to win, we win. If we're not lucky, they win. The workers have fought hard. I know there were so many questions why we didn't do house visits and stuff. We have trained the workers to fight back this captive audience meeting, and what Amazon have done in those meetings. Any worker, any leader that stand up and speak on behalf of working class or on behalf of the union, they remove that person and that person stop attending meeting. That is the level of power they have. So workers were witnessing that. During this campaign, there was a worker that called me. He walked in, I'm not gonna get into details. His card wasn't working and he wanted to go in and just to speak to HR. What is going on? And the next thing his co-workers are seeing, this grown man was crying on the phone because at that premises, he was arrested. Amazon didn't even have to call 911. There were police on the site to arrest him only for walking in to ask HR, why is my card not working? We all know in the middle of campaign, just seeing that somebody who support a union, of course, crazy fear will rise. And this is a Black man I'm talking about with 6 children. He told me, Sadatu, I was so embarrassed. I'm not a thief. I've never stolen in my life. It's a walk of shame, and he has to go to the police. Some of the challenges we have in this organizing is the largest campaign for a very long time. I think labor movement we haven't seen. We have help all over from all union community organization, but the pandemic, not being able to be on the ground, even though we have the support, but not being able to go on the ground. And the workers also said some of them have COVID 2 times. One time they're like, please don't do house visits. It's already hard for us. Getting sick over and over. We just afraid you guys doing house visits will cause this. I know there were a lot of questions about house visits. Why didn't we do house visits? So yeah, the committee pushed back on that. Maybe we should have pushed. But none of us have ever organized in a pandemic. And we're not talking about 600 workers that we organized at Housing Works that we won. We're not talking about that. We're talking about 6,000 workers. When we started, it wasn't 6,000 workers, it was 2,000 and plus. Where did that 3,000 and plus came from? Amazon. In any campaign like this, do you think those 3,000 and plus will vote for the union? Where are they coming from? This is happening in the states that minimum wage is below $10 an hour. Workers who came from other sites like Amazon and Walmart, making less, coming to Amazon, making almost double of what they were making there. The fear of losing that money. I don't know if my time is up.
I think you've just about hit 10 minutes by my count. So yeah, but there's time for Q&A though. Anybody have questions for Sadatu?
Ian, I just have a comment. I just want to say thank you to Sadatu and all those workers and organizers that stood up to that company. And I'm just so sad that there's so many out there, you know, criticizing a campaign that they really weren't involved in. I think where our focus needs to be is on the anti-union campaign. And even in those articles where they talked about good union organizing, the fact that we even have to do that stuff is ridiculous, right? We have to do it because it's an unfair system, an unfair level, it's an unlevel playing field. Workers have to literally check out of democracy when they punch into their plant. And so I just want to thank you because you raised the level of the anti-union campaigns in a way that we needed right now as we go into passing the PRO Act and helping people see what it's like the day of life in a worker when they're going up against big corporations like this with a lot of resources and the unfair system that workers have to play in. So thank you very much, and screw the ones who criticize you.
I agree.
Thank you
Good
all.
job. I agree.